Hello, everyone, and welcome to Bon Voyage Besties, the podcast where we uncover the world one destination at a time. We are super excited for today's guest, and that is Azdean. He is a Moroccan travel expert, the host of Destination Morocco podcast, and the founder of Destination Morocco, which is a US based tour company creating personalized small group adventures for every kind of traveler who wants to go to Morocco, from family vacations to romantic honeymoons. Azdean definitely has you covered with any trip to Morocco. So we are super excited for this one. Grab some mint tea because today we are diving headfirst into the magic of Morocco. I know by the time you finish this episode, you'll want to go to Morocco too. So let's get started.
Welcome.
Welcome to the show. We're so excited to have you.
I'm
Thank you
super
so much, Rachel.
excited
Thank you.
because Morocco has been one of the destinations that has been high on my bucket list. So I'm going to be taking notes on everything you suggest.
Absolutely. I'm very grateful for this opportunity. Rachel and Rosa, really appreciate it. So I'm super excited to share all the information that I have with you and your audience. So it's amazing.
Amazing.
So excited.
Thank you.
So, could you tell us a little bit of background with how you first started getting into developing a tour company? Because it's always something that I really admire. I'm a high school teacher, and taking care of students in a classroom can be overwhelming. And I can't imagine taking someone to a country and showing them all around. So, just a little background for our listeners first.
Well, that's a really good one, Rachel. Actually, when we travel back and forth, me and my wife were both from Morocco, and we are immigrants. And then we had our son in 2015. That kind of changed things for us because we are Moroccans, but he's American, and we want him to know what his roots are and what he came from. And that's the reason why we created Destination Morocco. And then he's 10 years old now, and he's been to Morocco 3 or 4 times, and he loves it, and he sells it better than I do.
Kids are brutally honest. So if a kid likes a destination, you know it has to be good.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. And like I said, I'm super excited to hear more about the small group tours because Morocco is a country that's always been on my bucket list. I've seen the pictures, they're beautiful, but I do love the idea of going on a group tour and having that comfort when I arrive.
Absolutely. Morocco has been really trending. It's slow here in the US and North America, but it is very popular, especially in Europe and other countries. Last year, well, actually this year it ranked 13 globally. And last year in Africa, it was for the first time Morocco was the number 1 destination versus Egypt. And that's really huge. And now it's the number 1 destination in Africa for the second year. So we had 17.4 million visitors. Up to today, we have over 20 million visitors. And then next month, we're going to be hosting the African Cup, and we're expecting thousands and thousands of fans and visitors to visit Morocco during that period. So it's a lot of fun.
It's awesome. It sounds amazing. Like I said,
Thank you.
I know Morocco's been a destination that has been high up on my bucket list. I always hear great things. Everyone that I know that has visited, they rave about it. You know, they describe like just the culture, the charm, the people. It's such an amazing destination. So I'm super excited to hopefully either 2026 or maybe 2027 to make my way over there. But for someone who's never been, how would you describe the vibe or feel of Morocco in a few words?
It's exciting. It's a lot of fun. You'll be surprised in the most pleasant way. So just get ready.
I'm ready already. I'm ready to pack my bags. I think Newark is actually starting direct flights to Morocco this year. So we really have no excuse not to go, Rosa.
I totally agree.
Exactly. We'll add that to our bucket list destinations for a girls' trip.
Definitely.
But I'm also curious to know, why do you think it's becoming such a hot travel destination right now?
Well, it's because of a lot of things that the tourism board is doing, the government is doing. And also, since 2022, since the World Cup in Qatar, 2022, that's when Morocco got really exposed globally because of the soccer team. And they did such an amazing job. They were the underdogs, and they went all the way to the semifinals, which is just incredible. And just last month, the Moroccan team under 17, they won the World Cup against Argentina. So it's getting a lot more popular. So a lot of people wanted to see it, and also because it's exotic. The colors are so bright and so different, so beautiful. But the biggest reason people really visit Morocco, it's because of its people, the hospitality, and its culture, like you said. Rosa earlier. So it is an incredible destination to visit.
Whenever I see the pictures, the colors, they really pop to me. They're just like so vibrant and magical. And you truly feel like you're teleported to another world just by looking at pictures online. So I can't even imagine what it's like being there in person. So let's say I'm planning a trip. I decide to book the ticket. I'm ready to go. What time of year do you recommend a visit to Morocco? And how long should a first time visitor stay? Because I know it's always beneficial to visit a country more than once.
I totally agree. That's a really good question, Rachel. I would say the best time to go is always March, April, May. That's a high season because of the weather, because it's not really crowded. It's very pleasant anywhere you go, and it's just beautiful. There's, lush of green everywhere you go. It's amazing, amazing. And also, if it's your first time going, and like you said, Rachel, 7 days, 7 to 8 days, that's what I always recommend. But if that's all you have, that's perfectly fine. But you have to split Morocco into two. You can either see the north side of Morocco for 7 or 8 days, or see the southern part of Morocco and the desert for 7 or 8 days. And I always recommend landing in Casablanca and then departing either from Casablanca or Marrakesh. And you mentioned it earlier, the direct flights. Now there's more direct flights from the United States to Morocco. You have, I believe, an affiliation with American Airline with the Royal Air Maroc from Miami direct flight. Then you have one from Washington, D.C. Then you have New York direct flight to Casablanca and one direct flight to Marrakesh. And then I think from Boston. And then 2026, they're going to have another direct flight from Los Angeles. And it's going to be a long one, but it's amazing. So
That sounds
Wow.
awesome. Now, why do you recommend starting with Casablanca?
that's a good one. Because Casablanca has the biggest airport in Morocco. It is the biggest city in Morocco, and it's the economy hub of the country. And it just has a lot of more options, and that's the reason why I recommend it. Marrakesh airport is big as well. Rabat, which is the capital, it's good as well to land in Rabat. But Casablanca tends to be the most popular city to land in Morocco.
It's like you're immersing yourself right away with like the culture and the big city. I always kind of enjoy that. And then branching off to other destinations that are more like hidden gems or maybe lesser known locations within a country. So speaking of like those lesser known destinations, obviously you've heard, when we hear Morocco, we think of Casablanca, Marrakesh, Fez. But
Yes.
are there other locations that you would recommend for like a first timer that still want to see some of the highlights, but also want to see more of these other locations that have a lot to offer but are lesser talked about?
There's a lot of them. The most popular cities, like you said, Casablanca, Marrakesh, Fez, yes, but this really represents 10% of what you can really, really see in Morocco. And especially if we talk about the US, that's what they know, the Marrakesh, Casablanca, Fez, Ouarzazate, Ait Ben Haddou because of the movies. But then there's a complete different side of Morocco that a lot of people don't know. Europeans, they're familiar with because they traveled so many times to Morocco because of the distance. So that's the part that, kind of unknown, but it's beautiful as well, and it's a lot less touristy. And that's actually where we're going to see, Rosa, if for the next 5 to 10 years, that's the trend we're going to see in Morocco in terms of tourism, in terms of new places to visit, because it's everything that people are seeing now, it's going to become kind of too touristy to visit. So they're going to start moving away from them slowly to the new places that they are unknown to them right now.
That's pretty awesome. And that's one of the things that I personally enjoy. Much of a planner myself, and I typically plan all of my trips. But I know when we went to Egypt, I actually hired a tour company because obviously I wanted to see the popular sites in Cairo, the Great Pyramids, all the great stuff. But I also wanted to get to see like the lesser known locations. And I feel like when you are working with a, travel company that they specialize in a destination, they can kind of customize that itinerary to kind of cover, the popular sites, but some of these amazing places that you kind of want to get in now before they become way too touristy.
I totally agree. Yes,
Get on in the hype now.
absolutely.
Yeah, get there now. Get there now. That's so true. So we talked about the length of time. So are there any other essential tips a first-time traveler to Morocco should know?
I would say have lower expectation. You're not going to heaven. You're going to Morocco. It's going to be a lot of fun. And don't think you're going to have, you're not going to be at the Ritz-Carlton all the time. You'll have some of those experiences, But just have a lower expectation and have fun. That's the most important. Just be open to new things, to new culture, to new people, and you will absolutely love it.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I always find when I go into a trip with like more reasonable expectations, the destination ends up blowing my mind. Whereas if I build a place up in my head, I always feel a little let down, even if it's still amazing. So that definitely makes sense. And I love just going into a place with an open mind like that. Because, like you said, you don't need the Ritz Carlton all the time, even though that would be nice. You don't need it all the time.
I totally agree.
Exactly. A little variety. When it comes to like the culture, I definitely agree with that as well. Being open to that because you are traveling to a new destination. But I know for myself, again, talking back to our trip to like Egypt, I was a little concerned because of the language also and just like getting around and transportation. But do you feel like Morocco is one of those countries where, for especially people coming from the US speaking English, is it easy to kind of communicate or do we face some challenges there?
That's a really good one, Rosa. In Morocco, there are different languages spoken throughout Morocco. So, like you did in Egypt, I highly recommend doing the same thing for Morocco. Morocco is a different destination. Rachel, I've heard people say, I've been to Spain, I've been to Europe, I've been to Vietnam, to Thailand, to India. And I said, but you haven't been to Morocco. It is very different.
I love
So
it.
I highly recommend working with either a travel agent, travel agency, a tour operator, because they really do the legwork for you and they make it so much easier for you to experience and immerse yourself in the local culture with the locals. So it is very, very important to do that.
Yeah, I like that idea because I find like when I go to a new country, if I have that tour guide, if they're local tour guide, they're able to get experiences that I wouldn't be able to readily find on my own, especially as a solo female traveler. Sometimes it's just such a relief to take all of that legwork out and all of that planning out and to get those experiences that might have been out of reach if it was just me planning it myself.
Absolutely. And just to add, I don't think I answered your question, Rosa. Yes, English is well spoken in Morocco. We were a French colony, so French definitely is spoken everywhere, especially in the mid Morocco and the southern part of Morocco. Then Spanish is more popular on the north side of Morocco. But the average Moroccan person speaks 3 to 4 languages. If they're in the tourism industry, they speak a minimum of 6 languages. And
Wow.
when you have a driver, most likely they'll be a Berber or so they're familiar with the languages, so they can communicate with you on the north side when you go to Chefchaouen, for example, with people who speak Tarifit, for example, versus a different Berber language or dialect that it's spoken in the mid-Atlas Mountains, in Agadir, in Sousse, and so forth, then in the desert as well. So it is really, really important to have a local guide with you, or at least a driver that knows where he's going, what he's doing. So English is very popular, especially now. I think a year or so ago, the US government gave Morocco $250 million to help with education and also with English in schools. So during my time, we learned English in high school, and the government realizes that's kind of late for us to learn English. So now it's in, the first grade, you can learn English now, which is just incredible. And I hope that answers your question, Rosa.
It definitely does. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
I mean, I
Absolutely.
always try to kind of learn a couple of words whenever I do travel to a new country, but sometimes like I kind of butcher it and I feel like I'm too old to sometimes process and learn. So I'll have like certain like keywords on my phone and I try my best at least to like, greetings and like saying thank you. So like
Yes.
whether I'm trying to learn like Arabic or like recently when we went to Tanzania, we learned a couple of Swahili words. I just feel like sometimes like locals appreciate when they see the tourists making an effort, even though like everything else I'm going to say it in English or in Spanish, but at least like I'm trying to make an attempt to immerse myself as best as possible into the
I
local
completely
culture.
agree. And also, even when you make a mistake and they laugh, they look at you really like you're really cool.
Yeah.
They really like it and respect you for it. Speaking of the language, we have, I have done, Darija, which is the Moroccan dialect. We have about 102 small episode, like 30, 45 seconds. Just like you said, Rosa, how to say this. If I'm going to a restaurant, I want to ask a menu, how to say the menu, how to say the food, vegetarian food and stuff like that. So we have that, and it really, really helps.
Yeah, I agree with Rosa. I feel like just knowing a couple words makes such a huge difference and it makes people so happy. Like I speak a tiny bit of French. We started it here in middle school, so that's like 12, which I think is a little old, but I know enough to say a few words and people have always been so kind and so sweet about it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, it makes an incredible difference. So, something I'm always concerned with is packing. What packing essentials would I need for my trip in Morocco?
Oh my goodness, you are so prepared, Rachel. Oh my
You
goodness.
need to go with an
I
empty
love it.
luggage and
I
go
love it.
shopping.
Yes, yes, because I would do a lot of shopping. I know there's a lot of great things to buy there. So, one empty piece of luggage and then,
It's so funny because when you go into Morocco, they have 4 seasons. So you pack different things during, depending on the time of the year that you're going to be going. Like right now, the weather is changing slowly. So by December, it's going to get cold in most of the country. But now it still feels a little bit like spring, but you still need like a small jacket, maybe a couple of sweaters with you, just to be on a safe side. Because in the mountains, it's going to get cold at night. If you're in the desert, it's going to get cold at night. And if you're in just regular cities, it does cool down really fast at night. So definitely you need that. During the summertime, that's, just pack anything. That's the easiest way. So, and that's what I would recommend. So if you're going to do some hiking, if you're going to do some other activities, just pack for those activities that you're going to be doing.
yeah, that definitely makes sense. Like, always prepare for the weather and pack for certain activities. I know Rosa, she's team carry on. So, it's always good to just pack those essentials that you need, which makes sense. I never want to lose my luggage.
I don't want to deal with the hassle of that. And I mean, listen, I don't mind shopping when I'm traveling, but I don't want to deal with it. I'd rather be sightseeing instead. I like what you said too about the time of the year to visit, because I know one of the things that, myself and Rachel struggle with, because we both also work full time. I do have a little bit more flexibility with traveling throughout the year, whereas Rachel is kind of limited with time. But I feel like for us here in the US, like March and April would be ideal, because typically that's when we have like spring break. So how far in advance would you suggest like booking a trip if you are looking to travel within that time frame?
That's a really, really good question, Rosa. Um, right now we are in November and we already have bookings for June of next year. So to answer your question, Rosa, I would say because of the high season, I would normally say plan 3 to 4 months ahead. I would say just add an additional month or two to it because of the high season. So yeah, so I would say to go in March, yeah, maybe this month, definitely next month should be, because you want to have the first pick of everything, first pick of accommodations, the drivers, the local guides, because the longer you wait, the choices start to, not have as many availabilities.
Exactly. You want to kind of maximize those good choices. So that's pretty good. And again, I like the idea of, kind of wetting your feet a little bit with just going for like about a week or so, and you're still able to kind of explore. So if somebody's only visiting for a week, what would be like your ideal custom itinerary for them, especially if they're a first timer?
That's a really good one.
I put you on the hot seat.
I think Rosa's planning a trip. Rosa's ready
Exactly.
to book.
I'm just making you book my
Rosa's
trip.
ready to book.
Rosa,
So.
she's a ninja. She's killing me.
I waste no time.
No.
I always recommend for the first time, if you want to see the desert, do the southern part of Morocco. If the desert is not attractive to you, do the north side of Morocco. So, and in March, I would say definitely do the desert. So you can do Casablanca, you can do Marrakesh. For Marrakesh, you go to the Atlas Mountains, then you go do Ait Ben Hadour, where they have filmed so many movies and Netflix series and Prime series. It's just amazing. Then, and you do Dad's Valley, which is the canyons, equivalent to the canyons. Then you do the desert, and you do it for at least 2 nights because there's so much to see in the desert. And it's absolutely worth it. Then on the way back, you choose a different route to go back and go to Marrakesh, and that's where you'll spend a minimum of 2 days. You do a city tour, and then at the end you depart back to the US. And then within those 7 days, we basically plan everything for you. Things to see in Casablanca with local guide, Marrakesh, the same thing with local guide. And then we can do hot air balloon, we can do henna experience. The camel ride, you're going to do it at the desert. And normally in the desert, we do a nomad experience, which is just incredible. So we pair you with, we take you to a nomad family. The nomads are not going to be there because they travel throughout with their, livestock and other, kids. But the babies and the women, they stay behind to take care of them. And they love that, for when we bring tourists to them, the tourists, they appreciate it because it makes them see things, the real things, and then for the locals, they get support and they feel appreciated as well. So it's a really win-win situation. Then we take them, there's caves, there's many things that they can see. And along the way, before we get there, we do a Berber experience in the Atlas Mountains where you can have a lunch with a local family and mint tea with a local family. So it's really relaxing. And then we can do, like when we stop at Ait Bin Hidda, we can do a carpet visit to a women's co-op. And it's incredible. And you can do some, painting. There's so many things you can do. Excuse me. As
That
an
sounds
activity.
so lovely. I
Thank
would
you.
stay in the desert and go painting.
Thank you.
It sounds amazing. And I love what you said
Thank you.
too about, supporting the local economy and actually, that you're supporting someone and that you're contributing to them. And we did that when we went to Tanzania. We went to visit local tribes. And it was so interesting because they were curious about us.
Absolutely.
And they were intrigued and asking us questions about life back home. And then we got to learn about them. So I feel like it's definitely a great way to immerse yourself with the local culture. And I can definitely see myself also too, glamping out in the desert. So that sounds amazing.
Thank you. You'll love it. You're gonna love it, Rosa. So it is incredible. And I totally agree with you because those are the places, they're not really touristy, but you still feel, the local vibe, the hospitality, they're very genuine. So I totally agree. Yeah.
I'm ready.
I love that. And what I love about that itinerary too is it doesn't seem too rushed. Like something that I'm always concerned about with tours is this going to be too busy? Is it going to be too fast? Like I like seeing a lot of things, especially with 7 to 10 days, but I also like taking the time and connecting with people. So that does sound like a perfect itinerary too from a slow travel perspective as well.
I totally agree. Yeah. I mean, Morocco is pretty big. I mean, there's a little bit of driving, obviously, but every stop, you're really immersing yourself in that culture, with the locals. And it's a different experience in each stop. So that's what makes it really, really unique.
I love that. I'm telling you, I'm ready to go. So I know for what Rachel said before, she does a little bit more solo female travel. So when it comes to some practical tips, so that way, travelers, especially women traveling alone, for them to feel more confident and prepared and safe, do you have any tips or recommendations there?
Morocco is a very safe country, and it comes from the top, from the government, from the king. When it comes to solo female travelers or solo travelers, you have to look out for yourself anywhere you go. There are checkpoints between cities. Morocco, they check everything. And then, just to give you an idea, every half a mile you'll see a police car stopping. They're just parked. That's what they are. They're everywhere. Those are the ones that you see with the uniforms. And there's 3 or 4 other agencies. They just wear regular clothes. You don't see them, but they are there. And I had an experience, so
it's like they're watching you.
They're watching.
Yes.
I feel like there's a story here.
Yes.
That's a good point because
It is.
I know I forgot where I traveled to. I don't know if it was Portugal or maybe Spain, but we were in one particular area and you do see police everywhere. And I remember it was late at night and I was walking back to the hotel with my daughter. And same thing, just knowing that they were there, even though I wasn't thinking, something bad can happen to me, it does put you a little bit at ease because you know that if something were to happen or maybe you got lost or you need assistance, doesn't necessarily have to be anything bad, that there's someone there that can help you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I definitely find the visible police to be very reassuring, especially as a solo female traveler, just knowing that there's somebody I could ask for help if I needed it. So let's talk about food because
My goodness.
I'm pretty hungry. I had an
I
early
didn't eat dinner, so don't. Maybe we'll
poor
skip
Rose
it.
is in trouble. So what are the legendary dishes that we must have when we visit Morocco? We are all ears.
Oh my gosh. Last year, I think it's a year or so, Gordon Ramsay went to Morocco and he did a tour in the southern part of Morocco and he did the desert part, which we just talked about. And the nomads, they do what we call medfuna, which is the buried. It's a pizza, they cook it under the sand on rocks. And he said that's the best pizza that he ever had. Just coming from him, it's pretty big. Last year,
compliment.
Yes. Last year, Moroccan cuisine ranked #1 globally, and it always, on the top 5 for a decade or so. So it's very diverse. It is very delicious. And each city is really known for certain dishes. It's sweets and stuff like that. So, the most popular dishes are absolutely the tagine and couscous, and they're all made different anywhere you go, and they all taste different anywhere you go, even though they may have the same meat, the same vegetables, but there's something that person who's making it puts in it that it's not part of, the ingredients that just makes it very, very special. So.
That's so good.
I know. I'm ready for a full-on meal.
You're gonna love it. If you're into street food, Marrakesh is definitely the best place to have it. The food the street food in Marrakesh has changed so much in a good way. It's very good now. It's very healthy. They check it almost every night. It's really, really good. Then you have, Fes. We say they eat with their eyes. Everything has to be so proper and looking so good. In Marrakesh, we just want to feel stuffed.
That's the best way to be. That's the best way to be. Do you have a favorite food experience that you would like to share? Like any super special meal come to mind?
Oh my God, I love roasted chicken with olives and preserved lemon and French fries on top of it.
That
Sounds
delicious.
so good.
That sounds
Thank you.
delicious.
I'm gonna go book a flight just to go eat that.
It's funny. This is when we started the company a while back, and I went to Fes. So I sat at the restaurant, and even as Moroccans, we don't really travel much. I mean, our travel and whether we travel is different whether we book travel now for guests. So I was with my driver and local guide, and they just disappeared on me. So I was just by myself at the table, and I counted them, 12 small dishes, appetizers of, veggies, olives. And I looked at it and was like, is this all for me? And they said, yes.
12 appetizers. That sounds like heaven.
Oh my gosh.
I'll be in a food coma.
Oh my God. It was incredible. And then I said, hey, how come those guys are my friends? I know them. I said, no, it's, typically they don't eat with the guy. And I said, I'm not really, we're friends. The driver I've known him for like 3 decades. But that's the culture, unless you want them to sit, they're not going to sit. By the time they were gone. So normally when you go to Morocco and you have a local guide and driver, when you go to eat, it's just you and your driver or the local guide. They eat separately. So basically the restaurant, they take care of them. They have a special place for them and they take care of them that way. But for me, just seeing those appetizers, I was like, oh my gosh, it was amazing. I loved it.
That sounds amazing. I know when we went to Tanzania, and I'm glad that you bring that up too, because I know we had our guy that was with us and he was amazing. And, just out of custom, we were going to be with him for like almost a week. And we were like, oh, just sit with us. Let's eat. And he was like, no, it's okay. You guys enjoy your family time. And after a while, I was like, I kind of feel bad because like, where is he going? Like, is he sitting in his car while we're eating here? Like, I just felt so bad because like, I just wanted him to like, enjoy lunch. He had been driving all day. But that's a good point because then eventually we saw like all of the safari drivers like in one area sitting together, chatting, enjoying lunch. And I was like, okay, he's being fast, so now I can eat in peace. Because like you get to like know them, especially if you're with like the local guide or a driver for a prolonged period of time. You build like this bond. So
Absolutely.
like eventually you kind of leave as friends or family.
It's so true.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah, I've had so many amazing tour guides over the years. So I'm still on the food train. So what are some ways? I love food. I love food. What are some ways that travelers can really like ensure that they're going to have a good meal? Because I know even in countries that are known for good cuisine, like Italy and France, you can end up at some touristy restaurants where the food isn't quite as good. So any tips regarding that?
That's a really good question, Rachel. I know you've been prepared for a long time.
Always.
So this is what we do basically. We always have recommendations. And you're right. Some of the places you'll see it's so nice and all from the outside, but then when you go inside, it's totally different. So when we make recommendations, because we're local and we know the best places to be, we can also make reservation dinners. In Casablanca, a lot of people, they want to go to Rick's Cafe, even though it has changed, but to them, because it's part of that culture, part of that movie, they want to go and have that experience. Or sometimes they just say, I just want to go and just take a picture on the outside and just leave. So we make recommendations for you, Rachel. So you always have the best place to eat and experience. You can do a lot of places where you can have just dinner. In some places, you'll have a dinner and a show, which is amazing. Dinner and a show in Marrakesh is totally different than dinner and a show in Fes, for example. Fes, they play different music in Fes versus Marrakesh. Fes is more, soul music. It's spiritual music. It's very nice, very soothing. Again, they're on a higher level than Marrakesh.
It sounds like a great place.
It's very romantic, very beautiful. So in Marrakesh, we just like loud noises. So you'll see everybody's just jumping and dancing. And so it's totally different, but it's amazing, amazing experience. I highly recommend it. Yes.
Sounds so fun.
Thank you.
Love having the variety because I know like when I travel as a family, like Fez, that's totally my vibe. Whereas my husband, Marrakesh, that would be his vibe. He loves being around people. He loves the louder the better. For me, it's like, no, let's be a little bit more chill.
You could go to both.
Exactly. We'll all leave happy. So
Absolutely, absolutely.
that's amazing. So I'm sold on the food, but also too when it comes to like, some cultural norms, what are some tips on how visitors can be respectful, especially if they're visiting, let's say, mosque or the souks, or even if they're visiting during a time? Because I know when we went to Egypt, we visited during Ramadan, and that kind of has some changes with our itinerary. We had to be a little bit more flexible with the times that we were visiting certain attractions as well.
Absolutely. Those are really, really good points and questions, Rosa. Culturally, the only mosque that tourists are allowed to go inside is the Hassan II Mosque in Casablanca, and it's absolutely worth the visit. It is a masterpiece of art and architecture. It is just incredible, and you'll love it. In that case, they just ask you to cover your head, with a scarf or something. That's the only thing. I always tell people, they ask me, what should I wear? I always say, wear what makes you comfortable. Morocco, we depend on tourism. It's number one income for all the families in Morocco. Every family or household, they have somebody working in tourism industry, directly or indirectly. That's how tourism big in Morocco. It's really, really huge. And I do agree with you. During Ramadan, things do change a little bit. And Ramadan is different from country to country, I would say. Some are a little bit more strict. Morocco is not really that strict. Because I remember growing up, the cafes and restaurants, a lot of them, they close. They start prepping to open around 5 p.m. because the sundown is about 7 or so. So nowadays, it's a little bit more flexible. I'm not sure how Egypt it is, but I always recommend, if you have an opportunity to go to Morocco in Ramadan, please do it. And we have a podcast about it. I think we published it a couple of years ago, which is really, really good. It's a different experience, but the food, again, it's different than the food that we serve on the air. Rachel, you're going to love it. You're going to love the food.
Rachel's like, you sold me at food.
You really sold me on food. I'm ready to bring up my United app and book my flight being like, I'm going for that roasted chicken. I'll see you, New Jersey. Be back in a couple weeks. I totally would do it too. So, how about the shopping? I know there's definitely more of a bartering culture in Morocco compared to the United States. Are there any tips with that?
Yes, there are actually a few. When somebody tells you $10, just argue with them a little bit. If you pay $10, they're disappointed. I don't like you.
That's no fun.
Exactly. Yes. So if whatever price they get you, they just hit them with half of it. Say $5 and just have a poker face.
I'm good at bargaining. I remember when we went to Thailand, I think my daughter at that time was like 12, and we were in Bangkok in one of the markets. And same thing, they had the price for something that she wanted. And I'm like, Sam, just say like, $8. And she was like, but it says, I'm like, trust me, say $8. And after the end of the trip, this kid was bargaining left and right. And she's like, oh, I love it. She's like, I still have so much money.
She's like, I could use this for home now when I need to bargain with mom.
Exactly. Whereas Michael, if you tell him $10, he'll be like, I'll give you 20. So he's the worst.
So funny.
Because he's always comparing things to the US dollar. So like for him, he's like, okay, 10, is equivalent to 10 US dollar back home. That's not really that much. He wants to support, especially like if it's something that's like maybe like handmade or like very like unique. He wants to support the local economy. But I'm like, Michael, I'm sure there's a markup. So, but listen, if you want to pay full price, knock yourself out.
Absolutely.
So would you say there are some other top travel hacks when it comes to maybe like transportation, communication, or budgeting aside from what we kind of already talked about?
Absolutely. When you book with us, basically everything is literally taken care of for you. Lunch is not included. Dinner is not included if you go to the north side. If you go to the south side, dinner is included. So, and again, when we book everything for you, you're really, really protected. If you're traveling by yourself, just know that, breakfast in Morocco, it can be less than $5. Lunch, around maybe $10. Dinner, probably $15. And it's really good. And this is throughout the country. If you want to have that experience, there's many different ways that you save. It's very difficult to rely on public transportation or trains. But if you can hire a driver, it's actually better for you because you're really going to be saving time. So, and that's what I would recommend, because when you go to Morocco, your time is limited. For 1 week, you want to get a lot of things done. So just have somebody, or find somebody online, or have somebody refer someone to you that they have used in the past. And that's really one of the best ways, the travel hacks that you can actually have. And also in terms of shopping, we talked about bargaining, but you have to be careful when you pay. They may say, 10, but they don't tell you if it's local currency or 10 euros or $10. So, by default, you're going to think it's 10 US dollars, but it's not. So when you pay it, but it's 10, local dollars, which is $1 USD. So just be careful. When you negotiate, specify the currency you're negotiating with. They do take a payment, with euros, dollars, because they can exchange those afterwards. If you're paying with a credit card, be careful with being double charged or more. Make sure you see that card being swiped just once, because some people, they'll do it in front of you and then they go back and do it again. So just be careful with that. And also in shopping, for example, Rachel, you go to Marrakesh, you go to where is that, you go to Ibn Haddou, you go to the desert and you buy little gifts here and here. All of a sudden, it doesn't fit on your luggage and you have to ship it. Just when you ship it, just make sure you ship everything at one place versus shipping from Marrakesh, from Ibn Haddou, from the desert. So, and also if you have an empty luggage, that's always very helpful. And I highly recommend it because you will buy stuff.
Oh, yeah. I brought back a whole duffel bag from Japan, and I filled that duffel bag to capacity. And I remember going back to Newark Airport and border control being like, "So what did you buy?" And I was like, "A t-shirt, magnets, I have a book, some temple trinkets." And they were like, "Just go." They're like, "We are not sitting here all day while you get through every little thing in this duffel bag. Just go."
But that's definitely a good recommendation. Especially, I like the idea of hiring the local driver because, like you said, especially when you're going to a new destination. I know for myself, I drive in New Jersey. I can drive in New York, anywhere pretty much within the U.S., but I refuse to drive overseas whenever we are in a new country. I just feel like a new
Same,
driver,
girl.
and I'm like super paranoid. So I let my husband do that. But normally, if I am traveling by myself, I remember when I went to Dominican Republic, where I'm from, and I went with my daughter, we hired like a tour guide for like the day, and he took us around sightseeing. It just made it so much easier. We didn't have to worry about like walking, directions, getting lost, or anything like that. And also having like, someone else there with us, it made us feel a little bit more safe as well.
Absolutely. I totally agree. Because driving, it's easier in some cities versus others. Marrakesh is definitely the worst because you have pedestrians, you have motorcycles, you have bicycles, you have mules, you have donkeys. But the thing is, for example, in Marrakesh, you'll see like a street with 2 lanes, but those 2 lanes to them, they are 5 lanes. And I don't know how they, invisible lanes to them. So it's very difficult. In Casablanca, it's much easier because the city is big. The infrastructure is a little different and there's not a lot of bicycles and motorcycles. So I would not recommend it because anything that happens, it's just going to really, really affect your trip.
Yeah, for sure. I know when we went to Crete, we had situations like that where like a 2-lane highway would suddenly turn into like 4 invisible lanes. And luckily the 2 guys I was traveling with, they're pretty tall, so they didn't want to be like scrunched in the back. So every time I would offer to drive, they'd be like, "That's okay, we'll drive." And I'm like, "You know what? Go for it.
It's for the best.
Have fun." And there were like goats and donkeys everywhere there too. And I was, concerned. I'm glad I didn't have to drive. I'm the same as Rosa. I avoid driving overseas, even though I, drive around New Jersey all the time, and just would rather take in the view and have a private driver. That's my
Absolutely.
vibe.
I totally agree. I've been in the US a little bit over 30 years, and I only drove one time in Morocco.
So that says it all.
That says all you need to know, guys. Get a private driver.
Like I always say, like, and you bring up a good point too, because like you're on vacation, like God forbid something were to happen, that's the last thing that you want to worry about.
Absolutely.
So just having someone that they understand the streets, especially like I know in Dominican Republic, I'm from a small town. There's no street signs. So people give you directions. You're going in through little alleyways. And I'm just like, how? So like I would get lost like instantly. So I can kind of picture, Morocco being similar when it comes to that. And maybe like, hitting alleys and just a local driver just knowing exactly where they're going. And you don't have to worry about Google Maps
Absolutely.
or anything else.
Absolutely.
I don't know about you, Rachel, but I am ready to book that trip.
I'm ready to book the trip too. It sounds amazing. The shopping, the food, the history.
Thank
Just
you.
absolutely everything sounds perfect. I have so many cities in Morocco on my bucket list. It's like an ever ending list.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So, what would you say for someone that maybe they're not 100% sure that they want to visit Morocco? Like, what would be some of your words of inspiration for them to make that trip?
I would say when you make that decision and you go to Morocco, you're gonna be mad at yourself. It took you this long to get to Morocco.
You'll be booking a return trip before you leave.
All right. And on that note, I guess we can go ahead and do some fun rapid fire questions.
Fire questions. Are you ready for a rapid fire round?
Sure.
All right.
All right,
So
let's do it.
let's see what we have here. So, would you rather spend a night under the stars in the Sahara Desert or get lost for a day exploring the winding street of Fez's ancient Medina?
Oh,
That's tough.
I'll do the desert.
The desert does sound, it sounds unique. I feel like I can, like I said, picture myself like glamping and just seeing like the stars.
I am
Yes.
so sold on the desert. That is something I've always wanted to do is glamping, and I've never had a chance. And I feel like
Yeah.
Morocco would be the perfect place to do it.
It really is. But just to give you guys a little bit of, when we talk about Fes and we talk about the Medina, which is downtown, it has 9,000 to 10,000 streets.
Oh,
So
Oh my
wow.
God.
one day is not enough. I will be lost for a month. So the desert sounds really good.
That would be my biggest fear because I hear like how easy it is to get lost. I would never find my way back again.
Me too.
We'll be all glamping in the desert.
Yeah, we'll all go glamping. All right. Would you rather eat tagine for every meal for a week or drink Moroccan mint tea every hour on the hour for a day?
I'll go with the tagine. I love to eat. I'm from Marrakesh. I gotta stuff my I gotta eat. I gotta
Poor Rose is just like, I need my dinner.
I know. I was like, if you hear my stomach growling, guys, I'm just gonna, book that trip and just go eat the chicken in Morocco.
I know. I want that roasted chicken now. Like, I'm not even playing. I'm going to have to track down somewhere in New Jersey that makes it.
You're gonna love it. You're gonna love it. It's amazing.
All right. Would you rather ride a camel across the dunes like a desert nomad or bargain in the Marrakesh souk until you score the deal of a lifetime?
I did actually both. And the camel, there's something soothing about the camel. I definitely choose the camel.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of funny because last time when I went there, there's a connection between you and the camel if you really pay attention to it. They're really connected to you for that time that you're riding or, taking a break. Honestly, I felt it with the camel.
That sounds so sweet. It reminds me when we went to Egypt and we were in the Great Pyramids. They had some camels there. I didn't ride the camel, but Michael, he like bonded with the camel, and I was like, I feel like you two need a moment. Like, I have photos.
Oh my gosh, Rosa, you have to show me these photos. That sounds like the sweetest thing.
I can't circulate them on the internet, but there is proof.
Oh, yeah. I've always wanted to ride a camel. That just sounds like just so romantic. I think we're just all sold on the desert between like the glamping overnight, riding the camels. Like, I think this needs to happen.
Yes, because just to give you an idea, when you get to Merzouga, they prep you for the desert, and then you go. The ride to the camp is about 45 minutes, and everybody gathers in the same place, and they go as a caravan. Then they start to split in depending on where their camp is, but they stop along the way right before the sunset for about 20 minutes for you to create memories. And it's so romantic, beautiful. You have to experience it.
I think
That
I need
sounds
to dedicate
magical.
one of my spring breaks to Morocco.
Exactly. It sounds so magical. So, Azdean, thank you so much for being on the show today. Before we wrap up, where can our listeners find you?
Thank you so much for having me. I'm very grateful for this incredible opportunity, and thank you so much.
Sure.
People, they can listen to our podcast at Destination Morocco Podcast anywhere they get their podcast.
Fantastic. Yeah, we'll be absolutely sure to link that in the show notes. We love
Okay.
sharing other podcasts. It's such a good medium. Like, I've always been really into podcasts, and now running one myself, we always love to promote others.
Thank you. Absolutely.
But this has been amazing. I know I'm ready to book that trip, so I will definitely be contacting you to help me plan my adventure. So, besties, we hope that you enjoy your trip and that you're also ready to book that trip to Morocco. So, thank you again for joining us on this unforgettable journey through the vibrant souks, the golden deserts, and century-old traditions, and some delicious food. And a huge thank you to our amazing guest, Azdean, for sharing his insights and inspiring us to experience Morocco like the true explorers that we are. So, if this episode has you dreaming of your next adventure, don't forget to subscribe, leave us a review, and share Bon Voyage Besties with your fellow travel lovers. So, until next time, keep your passports ready, your mint tea warm, and your wanderlust alive. Bon Voyage Besties!
Bon voyage, besties. We love you.
Bon
We'll see you
voyage.
in Morocco. Let's go. Bye-bye.